Hey guys, Rich here, and today we're taking a look at root server version 2.16. So it sounds like a minor update, and in many ways it is, but it's also going to affect every single meeting list coordinator that there is, because it's all about getting better data out of your meetings. Now, we've all been dealing with virtual, hybrid, and in-person meetings for over a year now. And so this is kind of cleaning it up a little bit. What we've been doing, we've been using formats. We had VM for virtual meeting, we had TC for temporarily closed, we had HY for hybrid, and some areas and service bodies were kind of making up their own. So now all we have these radio buttons. If you got an in-person meeting, you check in person. If you have a virtual meeting that's replacing an in-person meeting, meaning that if it's temporarily virtual, you click that temporarily replacing an in-person meeting. If it starts up as a virtual meeting, meaning it never had a physical location, you click that first virtual button. And then if it's hybrid, you click the hybrid button. Simple as that. And that's going to control your formats for you. So those formats are still going to work, right? When you look on your printed meeting list, you're still going to see that HY format. You don't have any option in here to click to check it or uncheck it anymore because that's all handled for you. So now this makes things a lot easier at that lower level position. Say if you're a regional meeting list coordinator and you have to deal with area meeting list coordinators, you don't have to try and train them to do things the right way and make sure to use TC and VM for a temporarily virtual meeting or just to use VM for a strictly virtual meeting and stuff like that. This is all pretty straightforward. And also, you should know that your meetings as you had them are just going to work. You have a meeting that's checked off as HY, that radio button's going to be checked. Simple. Now, where you might run into issues is if you had, say, HY and VM checked, because that's not something that was supposed to happen. So this is going to prevent that from happening in the future, and you're also going to start to see error checking in ways that are going to end up getting better data out of your meeting list. And if you watch the video, say, the video that we made about creating an in-person and virtual meeting list, we had to create some custom queries where, say, for the in-person list, you're filtering out TC and VM, and then for the virtual meeting list, you're using VM or HY. So it's important that the formats are correct when inputting them. So again, this change is going to make sure those are correct. But that's not all that's new. So now you're going to start seeing errors and warnings. And if you have any background with programming or anything like that, you know that an error means that something is broken and you have to fix it before you want it to work. A warning means that something's broken, but hey, this is going to work. You should fix it at some point. So if I go ahead and I punch in Zoom ID and I put a number in there, as many people will attempt to do, no doubt, and I try to save this, it's still going to say it's not a valid URL because that spot does have to have a link in it. And so that's going to work again with things like Crouton, where you can just have a clickable link right in your meeting search. So over here in yellow, that's where you're going to get a warning. So red means error, yellow means warning. Yellow is optional. It's best practices to fix, but it's not necessary. Another warning you would get is if you don't add a street address correctly for an in-person meeting. I'm going to go ahead and leave the link to the blog post for this release in the description, but that's about all we got. I'll also leave links to the video on making an in-person and virtual meeting list using Bread.